German reunification not only brought together two very different cultures, but also two completely different economic systems. The German Development Bank, KfW, was one of the key players involved in this mammoth task from the very beginning. And the head of the KfW Bank is with us today. Ulrich Schröder, thanks a lot for joining us once again. I'd like to begin by asking you what the objective was of the KfW Bank after reunification.
The objective, as for a promotional bank like ours, is to help where help is needed mostly. And we determined three areas where help was necessary. One was to rebuild and restructure again a commercial sector. That was particularly a sector of small and medium-sized enterprises, which was completely non-existing. And we put about 100 billion into this activity, so founding new companies, supporting growing companies. The second activity was in the housing stock. The housing stock was in a very bad shape, so we put about 70 billion of euros in the housing stock. Every second new building in dwelling in East Germany was supported by our financing. And the third was the infrastructure. And altogether, from your figures you mentioned in your trailer, we put about 10% of the overall funding into Eastern Germany.
With so many different areas to look after, what would you say was the most challenging?
The most challenging is probably to change the culture. And I'm amazed to see how quickly this culture was changing. So the willingness to open up new companies, to open up to a new democratic society, to open up to competition. I'm really amazed to see how quickly that went.
Well, of course, when we look back, hindsight is always 20/20, as they say. Are there things that you would have done differently?
I think in principle we did the right things. The privatization of the industry was done very quickly. Probably we underestimated the time and speed it would take in order to change like that a society. I think we have reached very good results. But we had hoped probably, when you claim Chancellor Kohl at the time, we hoped probably for more in a shorter period. And we are on the right track. It takes probably a bit longer. But also today, if you compare Eastern Germany alone with other countries in Europe, they are on a very good track.
And yet, despite all of the efforts, despite all of the investment, there are still substantial differences between East and West, for example, in terms of employment levels or income levels. Why does that still linger? Why do those changes still linger?
It's a question of timing. I mean, the income levels, for example, have improved significantly. They are still lower in Eastern Germany than they are in the West. But if you look at the gaps we saw in 1991 and we see today, that has significantly been reduced. If you look at unemployment rates at the beginning of this period and now, they have been reduced significantly. But yes, you are right, there is still room for improvement. There are a number of activities which we have to do. We have to increase the producing sector. In Eastern Germany, we have to do more on the educational front. So there are a number of activities which still need to be improved, yes.
And we do hope that they will be improved. Ulrich Schröder, thank you so much for talking to us here on Made in Germany.
It was a pleasure.